Hi guys, very welcome to Mentor and yet another Sunday night live stream. I hope you're all doing absolutely fantastic out there as always, and I hope that you can all see me, hear me back home in Spain, which means that I'm on my Spanish broadband, which can at any given time give up. So if it does, then just stay tuned and I will be throwing it out of the window and go and getting it again, and that will hopefully sort the problem and we can continue the stream. So guys, again, I hope all of you are doing absolutely fantastic. I hope that you've gotten the Mentor Aviation app so that you can send in questions, whatever questions you might have. And I see already that there is some kind of problem with the live, so I'm going to try to resume this in whatever way I can. All right, guys. Like I said in the beginning of the stream, there's loads and loads of tourists here in Spain now, and we're all sharing the internet. So the internet might give up. If I see that it's too much trouble, then I might just stop it and I might resume it another day when the internet works better. I hope you're doing great, guys. I hope you're ready to ask some questions. I see there's a few of you already who have pitched up. For some reason, there are no comments in the comment box here. So, guys, if you could write something in the chat. Just to make sure that it works properly, because so far I can see no questions whatsoever, and that is not really what I'm used to here. Also, use the Mentor Aviation app. You can send in questions directly to me there, just tag Mentor, and use the super chat if you have something really important that you want me to cover. So guys, the first question I got before the live stream in the Mentor Aviation app, and that was, do you guys have any kind of weight measuring equipment in the aircraft to measure the weight of each passenger, just in order to, to have an idea whether or not what kind of weight the aircraft is actually covering? And the answer to that is no, we don't have any weighing equipment. It would be far too complicated to weigh every single passenger. So what we have is something called standard weights, okay? So that gives a standard weight with what passenger, including their hand luggage, for both female, male, and crew, and that is then being applied to all of the passengers that are on board, and that should equal out. Okay, you might have someone who's a little bit heavier, someone who's a bit lighter, but seen as a mass, looking at 200 passengers, it should be fairly close to the truth. Okay, so that's the way that we're calculating weights and balance. If there is a special, some kind of special circumstances, like you're traveling with two football teams only, and they're all 2.5 meters tall and weighing 150 kilos, then it's different. Then we can actually ask for a weigh-in. But apart from that, we're using the standard weights, and that's it. Right, guys, for some reason I am not seeing any messages on the chat board, which leads me to believe that something is not really working like it should. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to restart this, okay? I'm going to go in and try to restart the YouTube feed. So if you just stay tuned. Alright, guys, I hope that you can all see me now. I have reloaded the page. Apparently something went wrong with the feed, but now it looks like I can see you. So if you guys can see me out there, just write hello, or I can see you. So just to confirm that everything is working as it should. Let's see, we have Andre, Partek, Big Builder 10, Fawad. So there seems to be a few of you there, guys. I hope we can just continue this live stream now as long as my internet holds up. So, guys, like I was saying, we were talking a little bit about standard weights. So I hope that answered the question. I can't remember who was the one who asked that question, but it was a great question about standard weights. It's not something that people generally know, that we don't really exactly know the weight of the passengers on board. But the standard weights, that's the way that we're using. Okay. Right, cool. Let's see, now there's more questions popping up. So, hi Peter, I heard that some airlines don't hire people from the Middle East. Is that true? Well, I don't, when it comes to hiring policies of the airlines, it's really up to the airline itself what it wants to do. I highly doubt that there is any airline who has said that, no, we're not going to take people from any specific country. However, there might be airlines deciding that right now we want to hire from a specific region because we're about to expand in that particular region. So let's say that an airline is expanding heavily towards the east, for example, towards the east of Europe. Well, then they might start hiring pilots from the east of Europe in order to fulfill the bases that they are going to create. But I highly doubt that any airline would say, no, we're not going to take people from this specific country unless there is some kind of threat that is actually being uttered and saying that this is about to happen. They have the right to do whatever they want. An airline can hire on whatever basis they want, but they do not have the right to discriminate based on gender, race, stuff like that. So I hope that answers your question, or answers your question, sorry. So more questions here. So this talks about which airline I'm working for. As always, guys, I'm not going to speak about that. I'm not going to say why I'm working in one airline and I'm not working in the other airline. That's just a fact of life. I'm extremely happy with my current employer because it's giving me the kind of life quality that I've always wanted. I've just spent a lovely evening together with my brother. If you have Facebook, you would probably have seen that. Those are the kind of things that is important to me. And my airline at the moment is providing me with a roster stability and time home enough for me to do exactly that. So I don't really, my airline is very, very good to me at the moment. I have no plans of changing airline until something else happens. You never know in this business, So, how is it to have family while working? For me, like I said just now, it's really good because my current airline gives me a roster 1 month in advance. I know exactly what I'm going to do in a month's time, right? Given that the 3 last weeks are actually planned, so they could change. But I know if I'm working on earlies or late, I have my next week in the roster is fixed. It's not going to change unless there's some, unforeseen circumstances. And I'm always on the same roster rotation, so I know when my off days are. And I have my home base where I live, which means that every night when I'm done, even if I work late, I'm going to be home in my own bed. And I can be with my family, and I can go and play with my kids, and I can spend quality time with my wife and stuff like that. So having a family in my case is very, very easy. Well, we have the normal kind of problems that everyone else do, but it's easier if we look at my work. There are other airlines, of course, where you spend a lot of time away from work, from home, which can become a huge strain on your relationship. So that is definitely worth taking into account. Hi Peter, do you fly commercially or do you train pilots in an airline? Well, I do both. You fly commercially anytime that you do any kind of operation where you are being paid. Okay, so if you're being paid for your work, you're flying commercially. That might be in a small Cessna, or it might be a Boeing. That doesn't really matter. It's commercially. I do fly for an airline with passengers, and I do train at the same time. So I'm training new pilots that's coming in and doing what's called line training. And I'm also doing simulator work. So last week I was in the simulator. This week I'm actually going into the simulator again, training new pilots and doing recurrent training for existing pilots. Right, cool. Mentor pilot, I'm currently training in CA Oxford Aviation Academy. And I was wondering if you had any tips on getting jobs for the interviews. Yeah, I've done a couple of videos on this, specifically on how you should be preparing for your interview and how you should be acting during your simulator assessment. So have a look at those videos; they're quite good. Apart from that, it's only going to be about you making sure that you do your training, get good grades on your training, get good kind of notes from your instructors. You get the most out of your training, and then send out as much applications as you possibly can. Just make sure that you actually do have the qualifications that are needed in order to actually apply for those jobs. All right, there's no point in sending out an application for a job that you don't qualify for. That's just going to be annoying for the recruitment department. 28 years old. Is it too late to start training for becoming an airline pilot? No, it's not. I've done videos on that as well. Check them out. And right, we're getting quite a few questions here now, guys. So use the super chat if you have any important questions that you want me to answer. I'm using the Mentor Aviation app as well, as always, to take some questions from there. Mentor, have you ever 7700? When? Why? Thanks. Okay, I have, and that has been due to medical emergencies because I've been told by air traffic control to squawk that in order to get priority in case of a medical emergency. I haven't had to do it because of any aircraft system related malfunction, which I'm really hopeful I won't have to do during my career, to be honest. Pandan in Elementary Aviation app. Hi, maybe you've talked about this sometimes, but do you have any tips for a person with a fear of flying? Thanks for helping me with my fear of flying, and I can't see the rest of the message here. Uh, yeah, like what I would say is that if you have a fear of flying, it's a fairly irrational fear, but I know that doesn't help. So the best thing to fight your fear of flying is to get as much information as you can. So follow channels like me, like Captain Joe, that gives you information about how flying actually works, and then try to get yourself up in the air and do a few flights, fly with your friends maybe inside of Europe or whatever, shorter flights, so that you can kind of, using the knowledge that you have attained through these channels, you can see that what we're saying is true and you can relate to all of the things that are happening. And by that, you should, bit by bit, feel more and more secure. But it's going to take time. There's no quick fix for phobias, basically. But do follow channels like mine and other related channels and try to get as much information as you can, because I know that me just burping up facts on how safe it is to fly is not going to be actually a real help for you if you have a fear of flying. It's going to require more than that. How long did you take to complete your CPL? Well, it took me about 2 years to get both the PPL, the CPL, and the IR, right? Then I did the ME in about 3 or 4 months or so once I had that finished. So, if you do an integrated course, you can count on about 2 years to do everything. If you do a modular course, it's going to take slightly longer than that. Hi, is a flight attendant trained to deal with a dual pilot incapacitation? For example, to give a person who's trying to give tips to a person who's trying to land an aircraft? No, they're not. Okay, the flight attendants have no formal flight training whatsoever. We do try to show them how to operate radio, for example, to be able to communicate with air traffic control. But there's no flight attendant as part of their normal flight attendant course that will be able to come in and actually land the aircraft. They will know, they will know things about the cockpit and stuff that maybe someone who's not, who doesn't have any kind of knowledge about the airline industry has, but they don't have any formal training whatsoever. So in case of dual pilot incapacitation, you better hope that there is someone out there who has a PPL or something that at least have some rudimental flying training. Or in most flights, at least in my airline, there are jump seating pilots, people who are flying to and from work, and they will be able to jump in. Jag vet inte. De är ute och går på promenad. Mattias är här. That was my son, by the way. Can you glide the 737? Yeah, you can. A 737 actually is a very, very good glider. Okay, a 737 has about a 1 to 20 glide ratio, which means for every meter or feet lost, it goes 20 forward, which is like, it's at par with some of the old gliders out there. So yes, you can glide a 737. If I lose both engines at cruising altitude, which is about 40,000 feet, I can get myself 100 to 120 miles in any direction before the aircraft hits the ground. Right, hello from EAA Air Venture at Oshkosh. Anything that flies is here. Once in every pilot's life, he or she must get here. From David Wade. Yeah, I'd love to be at Oshkosh, actually. Flight shops. He's actually been in the Mentor Aviation app and done a guest chat. He's there, I believe, and Oshkosh seems to be an absolutely fantastic thing. I would love to be there. And maybe next year or so I'll be able to arrange it so that I can be there as well. But this year, obviously, I've had to work. But great to hear that you're there, David. I hope you're having a blast. Right. So, Liam Cox, what are your thoughts on what happened in Australia? Okay, I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to. So just refresh my mind on what we are talking about. I'll go into the Mentor Aviation app for now. Mentor, how do you feel about the attempted plot of blowing up a plane in Australia? Okay, I haven't read this, guys. Right, I've had the weekend off, so I haven't actually read much. So I'm gonna have to read up on that before I make any assumption. But any kind of that kind of plot is obviously horrible. The fact that it has been found out is good. It shows that the security measures are actually working. So I'm gonna read up on that, and then maybe I will respond to it. However, and this is also a very important point, you will never have me discussing ongoing investigations ever. Like if there's a plane crash somewhere or a plane accident, I will not start to talk about that in connection to my channel until the final, or at least the intermediate report is released. Okay. Right. Hi, Petter. Have you got any feedback on Atlantic Flight Training Academy in Cork, Ireland? No, I've heard more people who are interested in going there. I haven't actually received any feedback of how the training is, but you can find that. Like now, you just go and try to get hold of some people who's been there, get some feedback from previous students. That's, you know, it's really helpful, and also go there on open days. Check out how you feel when it comes to the, you know, how does the aircraft look? How do their classrooms look? How does it feel when you're talking to instructors, head of training, things like that. So, you know, do that. Do some proper research before you sign up. Pilot motivation. Nope, you're just on time. We've started. We've done for about 17 minutes now, and I probably won't be able to do the full hour today, but I'll do as much as I can. So if you have any really important question, guys, once again, use the Mentor Aviation app or use the super chat. All right. I can't guarantee it's, you know, how long I'm going to be doing this tonight. Hi, have you ever been in Israel International Airport? If yes, what do you think about the new tower and terminal? No, I haven't been to Israel yet. I might be in the future, but I haven't been there yet. Okay, any advice on type rating or to do what airlines are looking for in a low timer? Right. When it comes to type ratings, sorry guys, I'm sweating, it's really warm here. When it comes to type ratings, you have to be really careful. And I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. Be very careful with signing up for a type rating that is not connected to a job. Like if you've gotten a job with an airline and they ask you to pay for type rating, that's one thing. Because then you are pretty much assured that you will be, that you're going to continue flying. But if you are doing a type rating only because you think that's going to increase your chances of getting a job, you have to be very careful. There's loads and loads of people out there who have been taking a type rating, then realizing that the airlines will not employ you unless you have at least 500 hours of time on that type rating. So they ended up having to buy either the same type rating again or another type rating, right? So just be very careful with buying a type rating without it being connected to either at least 500 hours of experience or a job. Okay. When it comes to actually preparing for the type rating, read as much of the technical part as you can before it starts. First couple of weeks is normally going to be CBT, computer-based training, which means that if you've read up a lot of the technical stuff, you can then start focusing on reading the SOP, the standard operating procedures, and working with your sim partner to prepare yourself for the sim. Okay. Right. Great, guys. More questions here. Sam the Reiner man, mentor. If you lost both engines at 3,000 feet on final approach, would it be better to glide further with not much flaps, or more flaps and more drag but more lift? Good question. We are actually trained to just, you know, we're to maintain the flap configuration we have, basically, not to retract flaps. So if we are on final approach and we have landing flaps, Boeing has told us to just remain with that, pitch down to make sure that the aircraft does not stall, and in this scenario you're giving, actually land short of the runway. Okay, because it's better to have a controlled flight in and land short of the runway than to stall the aircraft down and have it fall down. Okay, so that's what we do. I know that the guys that flew the 777 into Heathrow actually did retract the flaps and managed to reach the runway. That was a gut decision that they took, and it's at the end of the day, it's always going to be up to the commander to decide what to do. But Boeing specifically asks us not to do that. Okay, because it is a bigger chance that you might stall if you retract the flaps with the current speed with no engines helping you out. So, you know, it's a really bad day if this happens, but we do actually train this. John Richardson, what age did you actually start your flight school? I started when I was 17 as part of a government-sponsored program in Sweden, which was part of my training, my like junior college, basically. So I started when I was 17. I was finished when I was 19. And then I did the military service for a year, and then I did another year, which was, you know, gave me the multi-engine, the MCC, and so on. So, on the super chat, Alexander the Great, thank you very much, Alexander. Do I need a college degree to become a pilot? And the answer to that is yes and no. Okay. The no is with, like, a college degree. I don't have a college degree, and I'm a pilot in Europe. So some airlines will not care about it. They will just care that you have the paperwork needed in order to become a pilot, and then they will assess you on your skills. Okay. However, there are quite a few airlines out there, especially in the United States and Northern America, that will require you to have not only a college degree, but might also need a university degree. Okay, so you are going to have to check out. You have to go in and look at which airlines that you're actually aiming for, and see what kind of requirements they have. And if they require you to have a degree, well, then you're going to have to get one. But it varies a lot between different countries, and this is part of your preparation. You know, the things that you have to research before you go into training. I hope that answers your question. Right, so Batman on the Mentor Aviation chat. Mentor, hi. I hope that you are doing fantastic. Thank you. What about other airlines? Do they have rosters like the pilots are informed about their flight the day before? No, most airlines will have duty rosters that is at least a month, or at least a couple of weeks, depending on if you're flying private jets, that might not be the case. But if you're flying for an airline, that is going to be the case, and you will have a roster. But it might not be with fixed roster patterns. So you might have 2 days off, working 3 days, working 1 day off, working 5 days, having 3 days off, and things like that. So you will only see a month ahead, and that makes it a little bit hard to plan your life. Because if you want to plan, maybe a weekend out in 2 months or something, you will have no idea. This is the benefit of having a fixed roster, which I do, and which some of the low-cost airlines in Europe actually do at the moment. Right, more questions here. If I have a PPL and want to get an ATPL, do I have to start all over, or will it get cheaper and shorter? If you're doing it the modular way, it will get cheaper and shorter. You will have to build some hours with your PPL, and then you go into your CPL training and do the CPL exams and the ATPL exams, multi-engine instrument rating, MCC, and you'll be there. All right. If you want to do it really, really quick, then you can do an integrated course, but that is basically like starting over again. So it's going to be more expensive, but it might take shorter time. Hi Mentor, what are your feelings about fully automated commercial flight? Is it possible in the near future? I did a video on this, check it out. Okay, I'm not going to say more than that because I did an entire video literally like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So check out that. Basically the short answer is no, not in the near future. How many hours in advance do you have to do your flight plan? We tend to have our flight plans ready for us about 2 hours before our first flight duty during the day, and that's the flight plans for the entire day. So when we have our briefing in the crew room, we've printed all our flight plans and we prepare all of them there in the crew room. We have an idea about what the weather is going to be. We have an idea what kind of fuel we are going to need. We know what the NOTAMs are, and if there's any peculiarities like tankering flights and stuff like that. We know that already in the beginning in the crew room, so we check it out there. Right, more questions. Is a Boeing 737 cockpit claustrophobic at sometimes? No, not if you're used to it, but it's not very big. Like it is an old school cockpit. It's not like in the Airbus where you have plenty of space around the seat and stuff. No, the 737 cockpit is quite small, right? So yeah, it doesn't get claustrophobic, but it can be a little bit tight when you're getting in and out of the seat. Man, Daniel, thank you very much, man. Much appreciated. I hope you're doing absolutely fantastic. On the super chat, so Daniel Demetz is asking, should I give the aptitude test a go now at 17? If I pass, do my results expire? And will I be able to apply to flight school with them after I graduate from gymnasiet? Is there a limit to how many times I can take the test? These are all great questions, okay? And what I would suggest that you do, the answer to it is yes, it will expire, okay? Normally it has a validity of about a year or so, because, we as people, we change. Something might happen, you might lose a spouse or something that really affects you mentally might happen. Also, when you're as young as 17, it's likely that you're still evolving your personality. So It is going to expire. It's probably best to do just prior to when you're, when you're planning to start your training, before you sign the documents. Okay, there is a company called Interpersona in Sweden. They do these personality tests. They're very, very good. They did mine. They did all of the ones for the government-sponsored program that I went to. Just Google Interpersona. You can check them out. Their aptitude test is quite expensive. We're talking, I think it's about 500 or even 700 euros. As in, it's quite expensive, but it's very exhaustive. It's going to tell you whether or not you are, if you should go for this career or not. And I do recommend everybody that are thinking to go down this route to do that prior to. If the flight school is not giving it to you, all right, if the flight school just says, well, you just come and we'll make you a pilot, you should be a little bit skeptical about the flight school to start with. And then you should go and do this aptitude test anyway, because I can think of nothing worse than having spent all that money, potentially up to around 100,000 euros or more, and then once you're done and you manage to get all your licenses, well, then an airline comes up and tells you the same thing. That would be terrible to hear. So that's why I'm always pushing people to go in and do a proper aptitude test. And if they do tell you that there's some stuff that you need to work on, well, then listen to it, work on that personality bit, and then come back. I do think that you can do the aptitude test many, many times, right, if you want to. But I'm not going to, you can't quote me on that. Just contact Interpersona or any similar company like that, and they will be able to tell you exactly what to do. So best of luck, Daniel. I really hope you do well. Right, there's more questions popping up all the time, guys. It's great to have you all here as always. So what actions are taken on pilots for near-miss accidents due to pilot mistakes? Anytime that a pilot makes a mistake, okay, the airline is going to look at the whole picture surrounding that mistake. So first of all, you have to go out and you have to report it. Okay, so if you made a mistake, if you had a near miss, you've had a TCAS RA or whatever, then you have to obviously do a report, a safety report. When you do that safety report, then that's going to go to your airline. The airline is going to look at it, the whole picture. They probably will contact you. And if it is due to some gross error that you've made, but you've been honest about it, and it's an honest mistake, in most airlines, at least the airline that I work for, you will then get some retraining, maybe a line check to make sure that you're up to scratch, and then back online. Okay, that's how it works. We all make mistakes. But it's when you've made mistakes that are voluntarily. Let's say you have disregarded rules and you've done something way out that you should never have done, and that has caused a conflict. Or you've tried to sneak away and not report it and try to hide it. Those are the times that you might be in trouble, guys. If you're honest and it's an honest mistake, the airline should not punish you for it. All right. It might feel like a punishment to have to do retraining and rechecking and stuff like that, but that is actually requirements from the governing authority. So think of it like that. Right, more questions here. Jenny Moody on the super chat. Thank you very much, Jenny. Hi, just a thanks for the fascinating insights. I don't fly, but new knowledge is addictive, and you explain things in a concise and interesting way. Jenny, thank you very much. It's great to hear from those of you out there who are not actually pilots or not even planning to become pilots, because I want this channel to be both for you, it's just supposed to be interesting for people to watch my videos. It's supposed to help people who want to become pilots, but also help people who maybe are afraid of flying to get some insights into how the industry works. So to get that kind of feedback from you, Jenny, is really, really, it's good for me, for my self-esteem. It's great to hear. Thank you very much. And continue watching. There will be a big mix coming up with things that are both very technical, as in, what does these things on the wings do? How do we deal with speed brakes and stuff in the cockpit? And there's also going to be some more general stuff with like me debunking very strange conspiracy theories and stuff like that. So I'm going to try to mix it up with things that are interesting for all people who are watching. Pilot Go. I feel like I'm running out of content for my channel. Man, if you're not up to 300 episodes or something like I am, you are not running out of stuff to talk about. Pilot Go has a similar channel to mine, smaller, much smaller. He's just starting out, but he's doing it from PPL or from a private single engine point of view. All right, so he's doing his training and he's doing some vlogs about it. So check out Pilot Go, okay? And Pilot Go, I don't know your name, but anything that you can talk about, you should talk about. This includes, you know, obviously procedures and what your lessons entails and stuff like that. But you can go down to details about how you do a rudder check, or how you do a walk around, or what you check for when you check the oil, or how is a propeller supposed to be moved. You know, you can do video vlogs about absolutely everything, because people who are interested, they will want to know the details about what you've learned. So, you know, you will never run out of things to do. I have a full technical manual full of potential things to talk about. So if I want to, I could probably make one of these videos a day until I retire, right? But that's just because you have to think of everything out of a creative point of view. If you think that, oh, I'm just going to talk about lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, lesson 4 in my PPL, well, then you will run out very quickly. But if you think about it, every one of these lessons has some, you know, some individual stuff in it that are really interesting for people. So remember that. Alexander the Great, once again, I am 18 years old and I've decided to become a pilot. Where should I go from here? What should I do first and next? Please explain in steps and tell me how long it will take. Yeah, so I've done a video about a year ago called How to Become a Pilot. Check that out, that will be step 1, okay? Check out the licensing series, that will give you an insight into what kind of licenses you're looking at. But generally speaking, if you want to have the first point to do is first of all, you are going to have to understand what it is that you're going to be doing. Are you going to do an integrated course, or are you going to do a modular course? When you've decided on that, then you can take the next step. And the next step will be to gather information about which school or which training organization is going to be the one that suits your needs the best. And it might be that the school that is a little bit further away but has better reviews and stuff is going to be better. Might be that the more expensive one is better, or the cheaper one, depending on where you live and what your financial situation is. But what is really important is that you're going to have to do the legwork yourself, as in you are going to have to check on reviews from the school, from other students. You are going to have to read up on forums, what people are saying. You're going to have to go to open days. You're going to have to do all of that yourself to make sure that when you have decided that this is school to take, that you have a lot of information about it. Check out, by the way, Dyfrig did a video about how to choose a PPL school. The information he gave there is really, really good. It gives a real clear kind of things to think about before you choose a school. So check that out as well. And then, you know, feel free to, if you want to go in, you know, for example, if you want to go into my Patreon, guys, those of you who want to help out the channel, you can go in and become a Patreon on www.patreon.com/mentorpilot. And in there, we can schedule a private Skype hangout where we can speak, you know, just you and me about things that, you know, I would think of. I'm not going to be able to give you specific flight schools and stuff like that. Those things you have to find yourself. But when it comes to things to think about and what is important and what's not, then I could probably be of some help. Okay, it's something that I reserve for my Patreons. Cool, guys. These questions are great. So, from the Mentor Aviation app, by the way, those of you who haven't got it already, here it is. You have that nice little icon here with a little aircraft. You open it up, and in here you have either videos, like for example some documentaries that I think you should be looking at. You can buy collections, which for example shows you how to set up a 737 from dark to taxi, or how to do a TCAS maneuver, how to do Cat 3, how to do a wind shear escape maneuver, and you can do the chat. So that's the chat is what people are using now to send in questions. Okay, and you just put alpha and the username, and that will send out a push notification to whoever it is that you want to talk about. And it is loads of people out there, loads of students, loads of actual pilots, Airbus pilots, Boeing pilots, everything. So get the app. It's free to download, so there's no reason you don't have it. Okay. Hi, have you heard about any Czech flight schools? Do you have any experience of them? And no, I don't actually. When it comes to Czech flight schools, like I said, I'm not an expert when it comes to flight schools, because I haven't done my, I did my flight training about 17 years ago now. So I am more into the airline side of the business. But I do get to hear through the channel about different flight schools, but in this case, unless you have a specific name, haven't really heard anything. How do you calculate pitch trim for a flight? Yeah, so we do that as part of our load sheet calculation. In my airline, it's a very clever load sheet that actually calculates the stabilizer trim for us when we set the weights. Depending on where people are seated, that will give a different index, and the index will change how, depending on fuel and depending on where people are seated. And at the end, we get a pitch trim setting, a stabilizer trim setting that we can use that then changes depending on the thrust we're using. Okay. So we do that way. Other people get it through ACARS. Other people do it through an app, So there's many, many ways of doing this. What is hydroplanning from Captain Ramo? Great question. All right, hydroplanning is the same as when you have it in a car. It is when you are driving at a high speed over a surface that is covered with water, and because of the high speed and because of the density of the water, the tires loses contact with the runway or the road, and you can't brake. Okay, basically aquaplaning is that. You come down, you try to brake, there's no braking whatsoever because you're actually skidding on top of the water rather than touching the asphalt. Aquaplaning is extremely dangerous. This is why we do not land on flooded runways. We have really specific codes for, depending on the runway state. There has been some accidents where people have, there's been a thunderstorm that's gone over the field and it's filled up the runway with water. People are coming down, try to land, try to brake, and then just gone over the other side. So aquaplaning is something that we take very carefully. We look very closely at the runway state before we land, especially if there's any reason to believe that there might be aquaplaning. Okay, more question here on the super chat. Alessandro Sorsi, did you hear about the close call in Mauritius? Why did one pilot turn in response to TCAS warning? Should be climb or descend. Once again, unfortunately, I haven't seen this one. I should probably be better read up on these things. But you should never turn. TCAS will never tell you to turn. TCAS will only tell you to climb and descend, just like you say, and that's what you should be doing. There is, however, a caveat, and that is if you are visual with the traffic. So some companies have it in their SOPs, so if they can keep themselves visually clear, they can actually turn. However, since TCAS is built on vertical separation like this, it's better, in my opinion, once you're in a TCAS situation with a TCAS resolution advisory, to just do exactly what they say, okay? Because that is the only way to assure separation. And we are not quick enough to start to calculate if one pilot starts turning and the other one pilot starts turning and maybe changes direction like this. It all happens really quickly when you're that close to each other. So keep to the resolution advisories and do what they say rather than try to be smarter than. It's very rare that a pilot is smarter than these systems once the stress hits. Right, great guys. So I'll take more questions from the actual chat here. So, Mentor Pilot, do you ever look at Agent JC's channel to understand how jet engines work? He mentions you and Captain Joe sometimes. Really, I have to check him out. I haven't looked at him. Thanks for that. I'm going to go over and look at him anyway. If you think it's good, then great. Guys, check out Agent JC. Basically, the way that things works when it comes to aviation YouTubers and any YouTubers is that the more people who watches one channel, the more people tend to watch the other. So I love it when Captain Joe does a new great video, or when you guys like something that any of the other YouTubers have done, because hopefully you will find more of my videos as well and you find them interesting. Oh, by the way guys, I have I have about 10 of these 360 headsets lying around. All right, in my Mentor Aviation app there are 360 videos. You can watch them without these, okay? You can also watch them with these, and when you watch them with these, it will feel like you're sitting in the cockpit, literally, seeing me and Holly do our stuff, okay? So I have a few of these at home. They are from iamcardboard.com, okay? They are the ones who have supplied it. So I am going to give these away, okay? Because they're taking up all of my space in here and I want to give them away. So guys, if you want to, if you can find whatever your favorite video of mine are, go out to Facebook, post whatever, post that video out there, like share the video, tag me in there and tell me, give a good reason why you like that video, okay? The ones that do the best ones of those, the ones that do the best motivation for why they thought that video was really good, I will send out one of these, right? I will contact you through Facebook and I will get your shipping addresses and I'll send you one of these. There's only a few of them though. So, but if you could do that, it will both help the channel, it will help me clear the office, and it will be good because I am cardboard who is giving these things out, want me to, to get them so that people can use them. They're actually really, really good stuff. I've used them myself. Right, guys, so let's see. I have only a few minutes left that I can do. I've done this for 42 minutes now. Yeah, I am reading these comments, Ross, but there's loads of them coming in all the time, so I don't have time to answer all of them. How do pilots cope with jet lag? Great question. There's a lot of techniques for that. Some pilots, they just try to keep it their home time zone. So they're basically out eating at night when they're out on out destinations, and then they keep to the same, try to change the time as little as possible. Other people try to just get as much sleep as possible and change their time rhythm. It's a little bit depending on what kind of a pilot you are and how your personality is. Me, I am always struggling with jet lag. Unfortunately, I don't fly many time zones. I just keep in Europe, so it's never really a problem for me. But when I go travel and stuff, jet lag is always a problem. Jet lag is, because that's a great question, Pilot Go. Jet lag is when you change time zone and you're actually, it's Dane time. Maybe you departed from Europe and you fly to the United States, which could be about 8 hours or even more behind Europe. So there's basically daytime when it's nighttime, and you feel like sleeping, but everyone else is awake, and that screws with your body clock. Okay, so that is jet lag. You become fatigued because you can't sleep when it's nighttime, and you have to stay awake when it's nighttime for you, but daytime where you are. It's a problem that a lot of pilots faces. Okay. Can you give some advice on past the cabin crews interview? Well, it's kind of the same advice as I give to pilots. They want a good, trustworthy person who is safety aware, who's a nice colleague, who's going to be nice to work with. So check out my how to pass an airline pilot assessment video, because it's going to give you some good hints on how to pass even a cabin crew interview. Right, guys, where is Diffrig and the other cadets from Stop That Man? Yeah, so I haven't done much on the Mentor Cadet program for a while, and the reason is that I didn't get much feedback. Like, whenever I did, or whenever one of my Mentor Cadets sent out a video, I got a few views and then it stopped. So it seemed like it was a very small percentage of my followers who thought it was interesting. And these guys are putting so much effort and so much time into doing great videos, and I didn't want them to do that unless it got a good response from you guys, basically. So that's why the Mentor Cadets, it's kind of phasing out. I'm going to do them when they have some really, really good news or something big to announce. Then I will still pop up the old video. But basically, I'm not going to waste their time unless you guys really want me to. Okay, so that's the pure truth of it. All right, guys. So I have just a few more minutes before I have to go. If you have any more questions now, just post them on the super chat about now, and I'll take a few more questions from the Mentor Aviation chat, and then I'll be, you'll be able to expect a new video on Thursday. As always, I might, there might be some really exciting stuff going out on Thursday, actually. So stay tuned for that one. And if you have if you're on a modular course anywhere, especially in Europe, you should definitely be watching Thursday. It might be this Thursday, it might be the next Thursday, depending on how much I can do when it comes to editing. But I have, a bomb on the way, so stay tuned. What's your favorite cockpit temperature? Well, it tends to be around 20-21 degrees in the cockpit, which is great. Celsius, I should say. And Mentor, what do you think sorry, Mentor, what do you think about the two female Indian pilots who lost all their fuel due to leaving landing gear not retracted? Right, I've read about this one. Okay, so as far as I understood, two pilots who just happened to be female pilots took off, forgot to retract the landing gear, did not notice it, couldn't climb to their cruising altitude because obviously you can't with the gear extended, burned way too much fuel and had to do a technical landing in order to refuel. That's when they noticed their mistake. This is obviously a very gross error to make. It's going to be very hard to explain that to the employer because, you know, everyone can make a mistake. Taking up the gear, if it's really stressful or whatever, if you miss it, it might be something that rolls by. Okay. However, it's in the after takeoff checklist. The after takeoff checklist, you read that through, you will see gear up and off on the 737, for example. So it's not something, unless you skip that checklist or just rhyme it, you should have picked it up there. Then it creates an enormous amount of noise, especially when you're accelerating. The aircraft is going to accelerate really slowly, it's going to climb really slowly. There are loads of indicators there. So personally, I don't really understand how it could happen. And I bet that these guys are going to have some serious talks with their airline on this particular issue. I don't know the background, I don't know exactly what happened, but given that they were flying with the gear and did not notice it, it shows a quite substantial lack of situational awareness, which is quite serious in this. But once again, it's really easy for me to sit here and say stuff like this without knowing the exact facts. Just based on what I've heard, you know, the after takeoff checklist would have covered the problem. I'm not going to say more than that. Right, guys, that seems to be it. I've been doing this for 50 minutes now. I hope you're doing fantastic as always. You know, stay following the channel. You know, share your favorite videos. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram as well, where I'm going to post videos. Sorry, not videos, but pictures from my daily life and stuff like that. For now, I hope you're all taking care of yourself and having an absolutely fabulous day wherever you are. And I will see you next time. Yes, I am back. I just realized that I didn't answer one of the super chat questions. All right. So Max the Head came in and said, "Hello there. I've been watching your videos for a year and I've decided I want to be a pilot. Already have my PPL, but I will join an ATPL integrated course in October. Any tips?" Sorry that I missed the answer there, Max. It kind of ties in with the Alexander the Great question. Okay. So you already done the PPL, which means that you know what this is about. You know where the problems are handling wise and stuff like that. The integrated course is going to cover a lot of the things that you've done, so you have a bit of a head start. You know, try to get the theoretical package as soon as you possibly can, and start reading up on the theoretical subjects. Since you have the background already, that should be a great advantage for you. So start reading up on that so that you can take some stress out of that when it's time to do your integrated ATPL exams, right? That's one of the things that I would say. Otherwise, try not to be too cocky about the previous knowledge you have, because you have a PPL license, which is great. Now you're going for a CPL integrated course, which means try to stay humble, even if in the beginning your classmates obviously won't know anything, while you will know a lot. But remember that, you know, your classmates are going to be your future colleagues and stuff like that. So just stay humble. If you have more knowledge, share it in a constructive way, and use the time you have, since you're a little bit ahead, to make that course as good as you possibly can. So Max, I hope that is a good answer to your question. I'll make sure that I didn't miss any of the other super chat questions here. No, that seems to be it. So once again, guys, I am logging off, and I will see you next. Yeah, okay. All right, guys, I'll do a few more questions. Let's see. I'll see that you are all here. Right, guys, just a few more questions, and that's it. Pilot Go is here. Mayor Gamer. Mentor, I'm a Jamaican. I'm planning to do an electrical engineering degree and join the military to bring my flight hours. Will that help me applying? Well, you know, any kind of experience is great to have. It might not give you the absolute edge, because people, you know, airlines basically normally just want you to have the requirements, and maybe if you have previous airline experience, stuff like that. But all of that will give you a great knowledge of things that is going to serve you well when it comes to your interview. So sure. What part of Sweden are you from? I'm from Örnsköldsvik, up north in Sweden. Do you choose your aircraft in training? No, you go to a specific school, and that school would have a specific aircraft. So yeah, you can choose a school that has an aircraft that you want, but once you're in the school, you're not going to get to choose the aircraft. Okay. What path can you take to become a commercial pilot? Well, you can do integrated and modular. I've done videos on this. Go back into my channel and check out the videos. How to become a pilot gives you a comprehensive view on the different paths to take. So do that. Tim, could you do a shout out for my channel? Check out Tim's channel. I don't know what the channel is called, so I'm going to say that it's Tim's channel. Check it out. Did you ever land in Brussels? Yeah, I haven't landed in Brussels International. I've landed in Charleroi though. What you need to study in school to become a commercial pilot? These are the classic questions, the ones that come up on every live stream. So go for the natural science subjects like math and physics. Make sure that you have some exposure to that, because you will need it in your ATPL theory. Apart from that, do stuff that you're good at so you get good grades. That's it, guys. So let's see. Any more questions on the super chats that I have missed? No, it doesn't look like it. Guys, I'm going to sign that off. Have a fantastic evening wherever you are, and I'm going to go back to my guests. So see you next time.